The United States Order of Precedence lists the ceremonial order for domestic and foreign government officials, military and civic leaders at diplomatic, ceremonial, and social events within the United States and abroad. Former presidents, vice presidents, first ladies, secretaries of state and Supreme Court justices are also included in the list. The order is established by the President, through the Office of the Chief of Staff, and is maintained by the State Department's Office of the Chief of Protocol. It is only used to indicate ceremonial protocol and has no legal standing. It does not reflect the presidential line of succession or the equal status of the branches of government under the Constitution. Details as of October 29, 2015, except as otherwise noted, positions in the list are from two sources. President of the United States, foreign heads of state and government reigning monarchs, Vice President of the United States, Governor, Mayor, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Chief Justice of the United States, former Presidents of the United States, Jimmy Carter, George H. W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush. Ambassadors of the United States, Secretary of State, Secretary General of the United Nations, Ambassadors Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Foreign Powers accredited to the United States, widows and widowers of former presidents, Nancy Reagan. Ministers of Foreign Powers accredited to the United States, Associate Justices of the Supreme Court, Antonin Scalia, Anthony Kennedy, Clarence Thomas, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Stephen Breyer, Samuel Alito, Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan. Retired Chief Justices of the United States, retired Associate Justices of the Supreme Court, John Paul Stevens, Sandra Day O'Connor, David Souter. Members of the Cabinet, Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, Secretary of the Interior, Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Labor, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of Energy, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Secretary of Homeland Security. White House Chief of Staff, Director of the Office of Management and Budget, Director of National Drug Control Policy, Trade Representative, Director of National Intelligence, Ambassador to the United Nations, President pro tempore of the Senate, current Senators, State Governors, Governor of Delaware, Governor of Pennsylvania, Governor of New Jersey, Governor of Georgia, Governor of Connecticut, Governor of Massachusetts, Governor of Maryland, Governor of South Carolina, Governor of New Hampshire, Governor of Virginia, Governor of New York, Governor of North Carolina, Governor of Rhode Island, Governor of Vermont, Governor of Kentucky, Governor of Tennessee, Governor of Ohio, Governor of Louisiana, Governor of Indiana, Governor of Mississippi, Governor of Illinois, Governor of Alabama, Governor of Maine, Governor of Missouri, Governor of Arkansas, Governor of Michigan, Governor of Florida, Governor of Texas, Governor of Iowa, Governor of Wisconsin, Governor of California, Governor of Minnesota, Governor of Oregon, Governor of Kansas, Governor of West Virginia, Governor of Nevada, Governor of Nebraska, Governor of Colorado, Governor of North Dakota, Governor of South Dakota, Governor of Montana, Governor of Washington, Governor of Idaho, Governor of Wyoming, Governor of Utah, Governor of Oklahoma, Governor of New Mexico, Governor of Arizona, Governor of Alaska, Governor of Hawaii. Acting heads of executive departments, former vice presidents, Walter Mondale, Dan Quayle, Al Gore, Dick Cheney. Current members of the House of Representatives appears above. Current delegates to the House of Representatives, Eleanor Holmes Norton of the District of Columbia, Madeline Bordalo of Guam, Pedro Pierluisi, of Puerto Rico, Gregorio Sablin of the Northern Mariana Islands, Stacey Plaskett of the U.S. Virgin Islands, Amata Coleman Raduican of American Samoa. Governor of Puerto Rico, National Security Advisor, Counselor to the President and Assistants to the President, Chaga Copywriter Staffer of Foreign Countries, former Secretaries of State, Henry Kissinger, George Shultz, James Baker, Madeleine Albright, Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice, Hillary Clinton. Deputy Secretaries of Executive Departments, Deputy Secretaries of State, Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, Deputy Secretary of Defense, Deputy Attorney General, Deputy Secretary of the Interior, Deputy Secretary of Agriculture, Deputy Secretary of Commerce, Deputy Secretary of Labor, Deputy Secretary of Health and Human Services, Deputy Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Deputy Secretary of Transportation, Deputy Secretary of Energy, Deputy Secretary of Education, Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security. Solicitor General, Administrator of the Agency for International Development, Director of the Arms Control and Disarmament Agency, Under-Secretaries of State and Councils, Under-Secretaries of Executive Departments, United States Ambassadors at Large, Secretaries of the Military Departments, Secretary of the Army, Secretary of the Navy, Secretary of the Air Force. Postmaster General, Chair of the Federal Reserve, Chairman of the Council on Environmental Quality, Chairman of the Export-Import Bank, Chairman of the Federal Retirement Thrift Investment Board, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Under-Secretaries of Defense, Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Joint Chiefs of Staff, Chief of the National Guard Bureau, Chief of Staff of the Air Force, Chief of Staff of the Army, Chief of Naval Operations, Commandant of the Marine Corps, Commandant of the Coast Guard, Commanders of the Unified Combatant Commands of 4-star grade, Africa Command, Central Command, European Command, Northern Command, Pacific Command, Southern Command, Special Operations Command, Strategic Command, Transportation Command. Generals of the Army, Generals of the Air Force, and Fleet Admirals. Notes and references. External links. Office of the Chief of Protocol from the U.S. State Department website, Diplomatic List, Order of Precedence and Date of Presentation of Credentials from the U.S. State Department website.